like the way that the Kings and Flames are together. That inclusivity is really important for us. And we're proud to be the official partner for banking for the Kings and the Flames. I would like to be the personal banking partners for all of the fans of the Kings and the Flames too. We're here to do the Flames today at the end of the day as well as for you. So let's go.
This programme is brought to you by Hungry Jack's and Bunnings Warehouse.
The Kings host the Sixers in a battle of two teams who have got championship aspirations. We know Sydney, they're the reigning champs. Adelaide, they've got a very talented roster indeed. They are on the back up here though, so Sydney should be too strong for them on their home floor. Let's have a look at a same game multi. This is going to be a very entertaining clash indeed. I expect Sydney to get the win. Xavier Cooks released the shackles. A minute's restriction last week, just let him go. He'll get over 8.5 boards. And a high-scoring game over 177.5. This will be an absolute beauty. Enjoy the game and gamble responsibly.
You know the score. Stay in control, gamble responsibly.
Long rebound, back out for Cleveland. And things are underway for the 36ers. Randall with a hand in the face. It's an 8-0 start for the visitors.
A floater. Nothing but cotton.
Is it fair to say they mean business?
Derek Walton over the top of Randall. Wow. Randall pulls the trigger. Deadly from outside.
Oh, master thief. Inspector Gadget.
Walton Jr. hurts them. Randall got some space. Bang!
Huge three.
The 36ers are loaded. And they come to Kudos Bank Arena and beat Sydney.
Hello and welcome. You're watching the Hungry Jacks NBL, coming to you live from Kudos Bank Arena in Sydney for the first of our Sunday doubleheader between the Kings and 36ers. It's Adelaide who came away with the win last time they were on this floor. Craig Randall was their top scorer on that occasion, but is certainly a different dynamic without him. So the Kings will no doubt be looking to capitalise and set the record straight today. Joe Healy and Brad Rosen courtside for you. Brad, we have been so looking forward to this game. What are you expecting?
Oh, Joe, this is great. The crowd's here. It's pumped. We're really looking forward to this one. Both teams are coming off some interesting games against Cairns. Of course, the Sydney Kings lost in overtime. And then you look at Adelaide winning a very, very close one. Look at this ladder. 2 versus 5. We know the top 6 goes through. This is going to be a beauty.
Yeah, we can't wait for it. There is certainly an intriguing battle as well between a couple of their power forwards, Robert Franks and Xavier Cooks. We know Xavier's leading the MVP conversation at the moment. He put up big numbers against the Taipans last round, but let them down when he was fouled out in the 4th there. What are you expecting from him?
Yeah, that's where it's been. Zave's been great for 2 years, and you look at that 17 and 8, the way he's been producing. But it is, when he fouled out, and then you look at that game against New Zealand when he rolled his ankle. With him off the court, they do struggle a little bit, but he's been outstanding. I mean, you watch him, the way he plays, he's so mobile, so agile, he's always in the right place. He is a dominant force and without a doubt their leader. You look at that, 25 and 10, and that's with getting fouled out as well. He's been outstanding for him. If he can stay on the court today and stay healthy, he'll win the game for him.
And Robert Franks, he's also in and around that MVP conversation as well, and it seems that he's sort of found his peace within the side with the departure of Craig Randall.
Yeah, it is, and when you look at someone like Craig Randall, it was such a dominant force. Robert Franks has been able to really step up and play amazing. His stats would probably be a little bit down of what they would be without a Craig Randall for the whole year, but look, I love what he brings to this team. He's so long. You look at those free throws, he hit all 3 to ice the game the other night. Great player.
Now, Brad, we are fortunate to be standing on some prime real estate right now. They've coined this buzzer beater island. Of course, Quatnoy and Sean Bruce nailing clutch go-ahead triples in their last 2 home games here. They say good things come in 3. Are we going to see that again?
Bring on DJ. Here's my chance for him. Now, you look at both of these threes, and they both came from baseline out of bounds play. That was a great one from Kwapnoy, who, mind you, is out today with back soreness. But then you look at the next one, the benches are up, and this one, well, Sean Bruce. Same similar play right where we're standing. Knocks the three down, looks at his owner and says good night. DJ to win it for us tonight.
I was here for both of those. This place was absolutely electric. We loved it. We are so looking forward to this one this afternoon as well. Let's bring in your commentary team. Joey Montagna, Andrew Gaze and Liam Santamaria, guys.
Yeah, thank you, Joe. Yeah, this should be fun. Looking forward to this one. And I know the man on my left, he's slightly bleary-eyed. He got up to watch the Socceroos early this morning. But, Gazy, I know you're excited for this one, and there's one man that you particularly want to put on watch.
Yeah, it's this man on your screen, DJ Vasiljevic. We know he's capable of doing. He's a big-time player, but he's slim pickings from the three-point line the last couple of games. 0 of 16 if you go even to the past 4 games. 3 of 25 from the three-point line. And the Sydney Kings are the leading scoring team in the competition, so if he gets on song, they become much more potent, and statistics don't lie. I think he's due for a good one.
And Liam, on the flip side, the Adelaide 36ers, you're looking at Mitch McCarron just to bounce back from a slightly quiet performance for him.
Yeah, he still did a little bit of everything, some steals, a couple of blocks on Friday night in that win over Cairns, but it was a rough one offensively. Just the 2 assists, 5 turnovers. He got his nose messed up. Would have been happy with the win, but looking for him to bounce back and play well today.
Well, let's take a look at the champion starting fives. We'll start with the Sydney Kings, Gaze. It's a pretty well-balanced lineup.
It is, and we've already spoken about DJ and what he means. Justin Simon's been very, very consistent, and of course, though, the man to watch is Xavier Cooks.
For Adelaide, the champion starting lineup, there's Nick Marshall. He'll get his second consecutive start in the absence of Anthony Drimmick. And Antonius Cleveland, wasn't he terrific? 15 or more points in 5 straight games, and he was huge on Friday night.
Certainly was, 10 of 18, and stepped up when they needed him the most.
Looking forward to this one. As we said, first of our doubleheader today, Sunday afternoon. It's 2 teams in a bit of form. Maybe the Kings will have first possession. Walton Jr., what addition he's been this season to the Kings lineup. Suarez early, looking for the alley-oop for Cooks.
Send him to the free throw lines. Not a bad option based on his season numbers. He's shooting it below 50%. It's just an early one to give up. And for Mitch McCarron, he'll have to wear that one. But I think he was 2 of 2, wasn't he, against Cairns? So he might have been working on these free throws when he was out hurt. Or maybe not. And that's really the only flaw in his game. And in fact, you look at the whole Sydney Kings lineup, its free throw shooting is poor.
Quite an ambitious little set play to start the game, but I like it, the aggressive nature. Chase Buford there, we'll keep an eye on him. Gets quite involved in the games.
Does he ever? Rocking the cardigan. Again.
Loves mixing it up this season. The cardigan, he got a little denim number a couple of weeks ago.
The 36ers sharing the ball, as they've been doing a lot more in recent weeks. Johnson couldn't get the first one to drop from beyond the arc. And here's Vasiljevic, they want to get him going early. Gets to the free throw line.
That's beautiful Sydney Kings basketball. Xavier Cooks grab it and go off the defensive glass. And then dribble handoff, gets his shooting guard an open mid-range look.
Johnson is looking for Marshall. Said in the lineup, no Anthony Drimmick again tonight, second game that he's going to miss with a back injury. And I'll get another look at it. It'll be Johnson again, second time lucky. A bit long on that one.
Well, there's a vast difference we saw in the game on Friday night with the Adelaide 36ers as Suarez runs the floor. Nice feed by Cooks. But the Adelaide 36ers, we've seen more offense in the first 2 possessions than we did, I think, for about 3/4 of the game last week. So perhaps they've learnt their lesson in regards to how they can create better scoring opportunities.
That was Marshall, their third crack at it. It's from beyond the arc, yet to get one to fall. Some nice ball movement here from the Kings. They'll keep possession.
Well, they're 0 for 4 and scoreless in these opening few passages here, Adelaide, but all good looks.
Yeah.
2 really wide open looks for Daniel Johnson on the arc. Nick Marshall had a good look at that one. And Mitch McCarron from the free throw line. So CJ Bruin will be happy with the execution. Down the other end, interior defense. Can you force the Kings to beat you from the perimeter? Cooks and Suarez getting catches down low.
And of course, one of the heroes for those buzzer beaters the other week, Noy, is laid out today with a back injury, so he's not playing. As Suarez, again, they get an easy bucket under the paint.
It's all been a little too easy. Good execution by the Sydney Kings. They did a better job on those dribble handoffs or those on-ball screens.
Johnson this time gets to the paint, or get to the free throw line. Should be able to get their first points on the board.
It's been an interesting season for Daniel Johnson. Hasn't seen the ball as regularly as he has previously. And I think for him, a bit of confidence we take for granted because he's got this stoic nature about him. But I think he's one that, I like what they've done here early, although he hasn't been able to connect. He's been able to get some looks, get some touches, and get into the game a whole lot earlier, and hopefully that'll do his confidence the world of good.
Coach CJ Bruton spoke about wanting to play with urgency right from the outset, and that's what he's been pleased about with their last couple of wins. Just got to continue to bring that intensity both ends of the floor.
Well, he's really been there in these first few minutes at the defensive end.
That's it.
Kings have been able to waltz their way in towards the rim and get some easy looks.
Of course, they've been defending much better the last couple of weeks, the 36ers. In fact, the last 4 games, they've conceded under 90 points and held the Cairns Taipans to 75. And they get the turnover on this occasion.
So was it just you lost your zoom? Just the zoom guide was working.
Here's Cleveland. As you said, Liam, been so good. Season high, 23 points the other night. They sort of fade away. That's class.
That's his comfort zone. Antonius Cleveland in the half court. If he can post up smaller guards, he goes to that one-legged fadeaway. Butter.
DJ can't get that one to fall, but they'll get the ball back. And Walton, that's easy pickings for him.
Again, a bit too easy. Offensive glass, and Walton waltzes his way to the free throw line, and Cleveland watches him do it.
Here's Franks. Looking forward to that matchup. Him and Xavier Cooks. But to really get involved, Robert Franks was McCarron and Johnson have a little 2-man game. Nice finish. Kings looking to play a bit of up-tempo here. Walton Jr. again. Got Cleveland on him. That'll also be a terrific matchup. Kicks it out. Let's see Cooks from range.
Good help from Robert Franks there. Knows the scout. You can step off Xavier Cooks out of that corner. Shows his numbers. Takes away the driving lane as Adelaide turn it over with an offensive foul.
Well, Cook says he's better. You look at his overall numbers from the three-point line, 6 of 15, so he doesn't really get too many up, but has made a few. But I think it's the right strategy to, when you think of the strengths, it's about him being able to put it to the floor, and not only can he score himself, he's a willing passer. So they test him from the three-point line, and they're going to perhaps see if he can knock down a few before they start closing out.
Adelaide have just been able to get back into it after a slow start, but Walton again easily just gets to his spot.
Well, just complete miscommunication on the on-ball there. Franks was up, and then he just completely left his man, left a wide-open shot, and Sydney Kings not doing a whole lot much more down the other end either on that one there. Easy too for Cleveland.
Walton Jr. again. Kicks it out. Suarez will try his luck from long range. Sunday Dets checks into the game. Franks again, they look to go to Johnson. They thought he was fouled. Tough finish. He's got 4 quick points. Adelaide just get it back to 1 point.
Good couple of minutes just to steady the ship there for Adelaide. Good action, early punch screen from McCarron. They get the switch, roll it into Daniel Johnson, and he makes it count.
Well, earlier pre-game, Joe Healy caught up with Rob Franks to talk about this matchup.
Robo, you guys showed great resilience on Friday to get the win. What was the message from CJ afterwards?
That was the message. You know, we showed resilience. We showed that we could come back and, you know, have a championship effort. You know, that's just championship basketball, being able to come down that much in a short little time. So just gives us confidence moving forward.
You got the win against the Kings last time you were in Sydney. How do you go about that again today?
Try to execute the same game plan and try to get it done. Obviously, they're a great team, defending champs, but I think if we stick to the game plan, we'll be all right.
No Craig Randall this time. He was the top scorer for you guys last time. How is the dynamic without him now?
It's different. You know, I think everybody has elevated their games. Everybody has stepped into a bigger role. And we're just moving, playing more free, and just togetherness.
Liam, where's it at with the search for an import? We believe they're close. I saw some comments from Mitch McCarron say that the next import, they don't want an ego. They just want a player that plays role. I think they feel comfortable with the majority of the lineup they've got. Do you know where it's at or what they particularly are looking for just to cap off this roster?
Well, CJ Bruton addressed that in the post-game presser on Friday night, said not close. Said, no, to be honest, I'm focused on the team right now. We've got a pretty heavy schedule at the moment. He said the assistant coaches are doing their due diligence. Agents are sending me players left, right and centre. The reality is they're looking for essentially like a backup point guard. You know, I've been talking about the name Ian Clark just because I feel like he's the type of player they're looking for. A guy who will accept the role off the bench, as Glover can't finish at the rim, but can come in, handle the ball, provide a little bit of a scoring punch for that second unit.
Saw Glover there, check into the game. He was terrific. Last week against Cairns, 16 points off the bench, 8 boards. Get that little finger roll to drop though as Cleveland gets stripped. Here's Simon on the fast break, looking to be aggressive, probably a little bit reckless. We're going to jump ball.
It is Sunday Dench coming into the game, and I think he was one of the unsung heroes of that win on Friday night. He came in particularly in the third quarter. When your offense is struggling, you've got to be able to take your defense to another level. And I thought he came in, was really disruptive with the ball carriers and set the tone for them.
Let's get down to Brad Rosen courtside.
Yeah, speaking of the defence, that's what CJ Bruton was all about. He said that they want more ball pressure on the players that they've spoken about that sag off Xavier Cooks, who's now come out of the game. So that'll be Katorna and Simon. So they want plenty of help off those players, but give the other players nothing else.
Then good defence from the Kings. There is Katorna into the lineup.
On the top here. Well, that's a surprise. Isaac Katorna.
Huge surprise.
That's just completely unexpected. Seeing him here first quarter minutes has really barely played.
That is.
Since becoming a Sydney King over the off-season. Here you see the whistle.
I reckon it's a surprise for CJ. It's certainly a surprise for us, and our scouting reports
said
was,
no quite Noi, so maybe he's playing his minutes. Here's Glover. And now Walton Jr. Shot clock down to 4. Feeds it to Suarez. He's able to get the little mishandle and an easy finish.
They haven't solved that problem, have they, Liam? With everything, or a lot of their scores coming off that on-ball situation, and usually it's the roller, how they're going to handle it and what they're going to do. And strategically, a little foul there.
There's a pep in Daniel Johnston's step all of a sudden that we maybe haven't seen a lot, as you said before, Drewy. This season, he's got some early touches, some early looks, an early trip to the free throw line. And here he is grabbing it, ripping it, attacking and drawing more fouls. That's very much involved.
It is. And also there we see Suarez, who's been good. 3 or 4, picks up his second foul. So he has to have a spell.
Been an issue for Suarez, the foul trouble all season. Hiram Harris checks into the game for the 36ers. So Simon, Glover, Cooks, Walton Jr. and Katorna for the Kings. Franks, Cleveland, McCarron, and there's Detch. Nice finish.
And that's some of what you were talking about, Drew, that he brought on Friday night off the bench. Yes, the effort at the defensive end, but came in, chipped in 8 points and a season high 8 rebounds, a season high 5 assists.
Glover finds Simon, who loves to attack the rim. Points will count.
When he gets ahead of steam up, he's tough, and you can see how nimble he can be. He had a very good defender coming out on the weak side to help him Detch, but just a little shimmy. Little inside-out dribble, and goes around him like he's nailed to the floor. And that's not necessarily a total indictment on Detch. Just speaks to the versatility of this man.
Of course, the Kings at 3-2 at home this season. Only one of 3 teams, Liam, with a winning record at home. Only New Zealand and South East Phoenix and Sydney have winning records.
Bizarre.
At home so far this season.
Home teams maybe just starting to pick it up a little bit.
There's Franks.
The stretch there where Teams were winning on the road almost every game.
Well, Adelaide do have a good record on the road. They're 4-2 this season. As Walton Jr. fires from long range, gets 7 points already for him in this first quarter.
Adelaide actually pretty ordinary at home. I know they got away with a win on Friday night, but it wasn't some of their best basketball. So they have been feeling a whole lot more comfortable on the road.
Cleveland long on that one. Frank's yet to score for the 36ers. They might want to try and get their MVP candidate involved as there's another foul off the ball.
Blocking foul. White 22, block.
That'll be against Hiram Harris. And they'll go to the free throw line, the Sydney Kings.
He's a big, strong boy, Isaac Gatorna, and a really talented player. Really talented. Has played really well at the NBL1 level. Did get huge opportunities prior to now at this level, but the Kings were excited about picking him up over the off-season. Add some talent to the depth of their roster, and here he is getting some first-half minutes in a really big game.
Long on that ball. Now Detch, we tick down to the final 2.5 minutes of this first quarter. Detch, I think, gets some extended minutes without trimming tonight. McCarron. Here is Harris, finds Detch in the corner. It's going to be an offensive foul. Just raise the elbow. Doesn't like the call. Take a look at the replay. What'd you make of it, Liam?
It was a travel to begin with. And the elbow certainly came up, maybe a little contact. Derek Walton Jr. sold it and drew the whistle.
Yeah, a little unlucky on that one, I thought. Getting to the rim. It wasn't like he was intentionally throwing the elbow out there. Not to say that would make any difference, but still.
Here is Cooks again getting to the foul line.
That's the matchup we were intrigued to see today. Cooks, so dangerous in those situations. Off those elbow catches, can face up, and he puts it to the deck and steps across. Puts the onus on the officials, on the defense, and gets to the free throw line.
It was a great matchup, wasn't it, last week? Keanu Pinder and Xavier Cooks, and now he's going at Robert Franks.
Well, the Kings are a little upset in that Cairns game about the amount that they were able to get to the free throw line, and thought that there might have been a bit of a discrepancy in the way the game was officiated with Cairns. And I think you can see the way the Sydney Kings have played, that they do put a lot of pressure on the officials. They love to get to the rim. Oh my goodness, barely hit the rim. And that's one of those little, that's where you know it's in their head. The first one looked good tempo with the shot, nice little follow through. The second one, the whole thing slows down and barely hits the rim. It's, as he goes up, and it's just the tempo of the shot, trying to guide it in rather than shoot it in. And as you see, come up well short. This has been a fantastic defensive effort by the Sydney Kings to hold the Adelaide 36ers to 12. We have seen some complete and utter breakdowns on the offensive end, but overall, defensive end, but overall, Sydney have been packing that paint and making life pretty tough for the Adelaide 36ers.
Here goes Franks. His first real crack at it this game. Can't get it to fall. Harris now. Adelaide gives it off to Soto. Some good defense there from Hunter, and then the good little putback.
Stuck with the play. Kai Soto, really good attack from Hiram Harris. Gave him a punch off the bench on Friday night, and he created that one for Soto.
Soto failed to score. Game the other night.
It wasn't one of, he played 7 minutes, and it wasn't one of the best 7 minutes of his career. It wasn't good, and that's when you see a situation like this. Here he is. Now this is his problem. Is how does he keep those more nimble 4s and 5s in front? He can use his length, and he's not a bad shot blocker when he's meeting people at the rim, but when he's got to guard him and slide his feet, that's when he gets in all sorts of problems. So that's an area of his game that he needs to work on, because teams are picking on him. Now, the thing about him, if he is guarding Cooks, he's got 5 fouls to give. So they happy for him to use them and see if Cooks can find his rhythm from the free throw line.
He's 2 of 5 at the moment. Make it 2 of 6. Xavier Cooks from the free throw line in his first term.
I think the other part of that conversation, Drew, is that's a bit of a problem for the Adelaide 36ers as a whole. Their front court defense, Daniel Johnson, Robert Franks, Kai Soto, do they have the ability to handle guys like Xavier Cooks and the impact, the pressure he's going to put on your defense? We know on the perimeter with McCarron and Detch and Antonius Cleveland, they're loaded with defensive-minded players. Can they defend at a high level with their big bodies?
Again, easy dunk for Hunter. His first points of the night.
The right place at the right time. Able to pick up the little fumble.
Here's Soto, going to try and show his range. The Kings will get the ball. So scrappy start offensively for the 36ers.
Well, I think the thing is they've had no tempo in their offense. There you see the finish from Hunter as he cleans up the mess underneath. But Adelaide, they want to get up and down the floor. They want to force you into turnovers, get out in transition, wheel and deal a little bit. But the Sydney Kings have been able to keep them into a half-court team in this first quarter, and they've only got 14 on the board.
They're just talking about putting the clock back to 49 seconds. The clock kept running when that ball went out of bounds.
Right now, Bruce, get off and you and X got it. JG to stay there in the middle.
There's Cal Bruton, father of CJ Bruton, one of the all-time legends of Australian basketball.
Travels to every game. Basically, he's at every game, isn't he?
He gets a lot around the country.
He's nearly there all the time.
He gets everywhere, and he's representing the Indigenous jersey.
Of course, this season, with thanks to Latrobe Financial, we're giving away the guaranteed $50,000. You know how to play. Enter now, nbl.com.au/legends for your chance to win. Tick inside the final 30 seconds. Again, Cook's looking to be aggressive.
Killing him. Absolutely tearing him to shreds off those elbow catches.
Johnson, and a couple of looks at it early in that quarter. Couldn't get in the drop, but he does that time. And they needed that one, the 36ers. 9 points for him, good start. And the Kings will have the final possession. And they'll give it to their superstar.
Carry. Just lost it on the spin dribble. And they get called for the carry. Enough time here, you think that maybe you catch one dribble to get a shot off for the Adelaide 36ers.
Silovic comes to the bench, just the 2 points for him, yet to attempt a 3-point shot.
This is where you try to get the ball into Daniel Johnson's hands. So crafty at drawing a foul.
It'll be Detch. He's going to draw the foul, so that's sloppy by the Kings.
We've only got 2 team fouls, so if it's not a shooting foul, they'll be taking that on the side.
Well, they're actually going to check if the foul was actually committed when there was time on the clock. Oh no, they've said it was. Called the foul.
It was on the dribble. They look like he may have picked up possession. They're going to call it sideline ball. So there'll be 1 second left on the clock. The 36ers to come up with something.
Again, Des Johnson, guarded by Jalen Galloway, has a little height advantage. Ability to get him in the block and a catch. He can create a good look.
DJ, Flair, Love,
Let's see what they're going to go with. It'll be Detch. It's enough time to have a good look at it. Just couldn't finish. And it was a good quarter for the Sydney Kings back on their home floor. Adelaide 36ers got a little bit of work to do. They're within 7, but it's Sydney in control this one, quarter time, 24-17. Quarter time, Kudos Bank Arena in Sydney, and it's the Kings looking to cement second spot on the ladder. They lead the Adelaide 36ers by 7 points at quarter time. Derek Walton Jr. with the 7 points, Suarez with 6, and Xavier Cooks just the 4 points, but missed a lot of free throws, and he's looking dangerous, Liam.
He sure is, yeah, they haven't been able to handle him. He's let him off the hook from the free throw line. 2 of 6 from the stripe. Sydney 3 of 9 overall. They could be even further in front. They'd knocked a couple more down.
Be it 36ers ball.
And they've got to find a way to get Franks going. He's a superstar of our competition. He only had the 2 field goal attempts in that first quarter, 0 of 2. And offensively, with their sets, he needs to see more of it. It's up against a very good defender in Xavier Cooks.
Of course, the 36ers have won 3 of their last 4 games since the FIBA break. Their only loss coming to New Zealand in New Zealand. Just struggling to find their best form at the moment. Here's Marshall, who's been starting, able to get to the rim.
He's got a good quick turn of speed, Nick Marshall, and he's a terrific athlete.
Very good athlete.
Quick, explosive to the rim. I think he's a real talent. He's got a big future ahead of him.
He's been seeing some good minutes. And again, the 36ers will get the ball.
I watched him over in the States in the lead up to those NBL NBA games, Adelaide. They had a hit out with Overtime Elite. A couple of guys going straight to the top 10 of the NBA draft, the Thompson twins and the like. And Nick Marshall put on a show. CJ played the young fellas, and Marshall, 20 points, 10 rebounds. As he lines that up, can't hit, and just gave him bucket after bucket in crunch time, and as he showcased his skills.
Here's Hunter from the corner. A chance for the 36ers to peg back the margin. Franks, can he get going?
That was just one where he hasn't had seen a lot of it, so he quick shoots it. He's more than capable of doing it. Only 26% from the three-point line this season. He's a way better three-point shooter than those numbers would suggest.
Here's Galloway's going to get called for the travel. Sloppy start to this second term. Sydney Kings in particular.
And you know, with someone like Galloway too, he can be a little interesting when you think of the rotation. He sees Isaac Gatorna coming in ahead of him, thinking, hang on, have I gone? Now, I assume that they would have communicated with the players before the start of the game, but if not, that can throw you a little bit.
Cleveland. Way off.
And Drew, you talk about trying to get Robert Franks going, see if you can get him some good looks. They got him obviously in transition, wasn't able to knock that down, but you also talked on Friday, Drew, during that game, especially that first half, how they weren't really running much, Adelaide. A lot of very individual, I'll try to break my man down, now you have a go. And again here, not a lot of action that's creating switches, as Vasiljevic can't hit there, to try to get some mismatches and attack some smaller guys.
The shooter's going to keep shooting. He knew the first one was close, Gazy, so he thought, give me one more crack at it.
And you love it when you get it the same opportunity in that same possession from the same spot. You can make that adjustment, but prior to that, he'd missed his previous 17 three-point field goal attempts. And there's another way to get him going, because Franks is very good on the box. But you're right, and early on, like the first 5 minutes, I thought they were pretty good. The Adelaide running their flow, motion, whatever you want to call it, with their slot cuts and dribble handoffs. And at least they were getting it side to side and get it through some hands. But they can go a little bit native and a little bit terminal with what they do. And I think that's a lot of it is by design, though. It's a lot of it, they just want to spread the floor. Use their athletes and just try and get to the rim for the finish at the rim or the kick-out pass.
Well, it's taken a few minutes into the second term, but Robert Franks finally gets his first points of the game.
Well, I'd like to see him go at him. Make a real focus of him in the block in these next couple of minutes, because Xavier Cooks is checked out of the game. That's the matchup that's been an issue for him these first few minutes. If it's going to be Justin Simon guarding him, like it was on that possession, post Robert Franks up.
Of course, averaging nearly 17 and 7 a game. Robert Franks, and those numbers are much better the past 5 or 6 weeks. Now that he's the main man in the offense, as Bruce gets it back to Vasiljevic, who's feeling it. He's going to give the glove up, who was shooting it well the other night. Leaves that short. Johnson, McCarron. Trying to get a bit of motion going here, and they want to get into that mismatch. Good call by the boys up here. Good feed from Johnson, and Frank's chance for a three-point play.
Really good high-low action, and that's what happens when you've got a guy like DJ with that size. He can throw over the top of the defender. Now, you need a lot more ball pressure. If you do get a switch and you get a mismatch inside, if you allow someone just that much space. See, Geordie Hunter there, a good 1.5 meters off, and that's just like a training drill when you're throwing it into the low post and no pressure on the defense. It's really, really hard, and if you're going to front that with that mismatch, a pinpoint pass, it's going to beat you 9.9 times out of 10.
The adjustment from Chase Buford with the rotations, as Franks can't hit there. Hunter and Simon go out. Suarez and Gatorna back in.
Here's Glover. Walton Jr. with 7 points in the first term. That's that one fly. Both teams struggling from beyond the arc at the moment. Combined 3 of 17, the two teams. As Franks wants to back down. This time Cleveland. Pretty straightforward.
And that's high IQ basketball. Robert Franks
well,
advances it, turns his back, Anthony Mason style, backs his way in from three-point territory. Draw the double team, find your teammate cutting to the rim.
And with this one here was the choice of Gatorna there, who came off Cleveland. You see him running off and gives a really athletic Cleveland a chance to come at it. And you might need some help, but usually you're going to wait until you see the ball gets to the floor before you're going to just sprint off your man like that, because that was a relatively simple catch and pass when you see that defense coming.
See down the bottom there, his averages the last 5 games, Cleveland, coming off a season high 23 points against Cairns. And again, both teams leaving some free throws out there as well. Adelaide peg it back to 3 points. Trailed by 7 at quarter time. Here's Gatorna. Oh, show some athleticism and some tricks.
Tough finish. I feel like that kid does. Isaac Gatorna off the bounce, hanging in the air, off the glass.
There goes 3 points. Johnson had the 9 points at quarter time. Hasn't added to that in this second term. This time Cleveland backs his way down low.
Just bully ball.
He liked the matchup. He's going to get pinged for an offensive foul. Was it travel?
Yeah,
by the way.
Straight up when you just saw him lean with his shoulder. Hey. It's one thing to say it was vertical, another thing to say, Zach, inside.
CJ Bruton not happy.
CJ Bruton just helping out his former player.
That's it.
Gatorna.
And there might be a reason why Chase Buford goes with the Gatorna, just knows he's familiar with his opponents because of the time he spent there last season.
Walton Jr. almost lost possession. Went back and got it. And then a clever little feed. All sorts of numbers in the key for the 36ers. So Suarez, again, has another crack at it. And another offensive board for the Kings. So they'll kick it out. Walton Jr. will go to work and then get to the lane. Easy buckets.
Does that so well. Walton Jr., that's what you need to stay in front of him. Now, easier said than done. But if he can slice and dice you with straight line drives like that, you're in trouble.
Hasn't necessarily been scoring as many points as he was early in the season, Walton Jr., but up to an equal game-high 9 points now. As Frank's starting to warm up, but again, leaves that one long. 1 of 9 from long range now, the 36ers.
Oh, no one guarding the ball.
And that's going to be costly every single time. Walton Jr. feeling good about his game. He's up to 12 points, and all of a sudden the Kings get it back out to 10.
Just really poor defensive transition. There's someone's got to pick up the ball, and they sort of have it, and then coming down there, and if you're going to pass someone off, particularly if it's someone like Walton Jr., you've got to make sure that you got someone to hand him off to.
Well, CJ Bruton will have a chat to his team, and Brad Rosen is going to have a chat to one of the legends of basketball courtside.
That is right, I do have a legend of basketball, 3-time NBA champion, but now Sydney Kings owner Luke Longley. Thank you for joining us. Talk to us about the ownership.
Funny how things happen, man. My dad played in the NBL. I was obviously Wildcats owner for a while, which was bleak years of the NBL, and Kings have obviously brought me back into the fold and back that whole circle of life, I suppose, and great to be involved. I mean, I guess I've been making management type decisions for a while, so it's really not that much different on the ground, but it feels good.
So it must be some great conversations, you, Paul, Andrew, Bogut. Do you actually talk about basketball or just reminisce?
Well, a bit of that. I mean, Robin Denholm's in those too. We've got quite a broad ownership group, which makes it fun. You know, we've got a bit of everything.
So when I talk to the team, they just say you do a bit of everything. When you come on as an owner, what is the thing, and even previous to that, that you most enjoy?
I think we all enjoy seeing the guys grow through the course of the season and win. I mean, winning is fun, right? That gets the people in the stands. It's been fun to see the NBL grow over the last 3 years and get more bodies in the house. It's been great.
Now, I'm pretty sure you played on Christmas Day in the NBA, and of course this year is our first one coming into Sydney. How do you feel about that one?
Well, I always had a ball playing. It sounded, when I was a player, it sounded strange, right? But there's so much energy around on Christmas Day. The games I played in were fantastic. So looking forward to seeing how we get it done here.
Well, it's great to have you on board. Love having you as an owner, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks, man. Good on you.
Now, Kings will be hosting Christmas Day against Melbourne United. Can't wait for that one as Johnson is going to get to the foul line. Of course, the Salvation Army boys are partnering with the Sydney Kings for the Christmas Day game. Can't wait for this. You can contribute by going to the salvationarmy.org.au. Just make a little donation, and some of that money will help those. It's going to be History Making Day. You're going to be part of it.
I'll be doing the commentary. It's going to be a fantastic day, and great to see the Salvation Army, and they do some terrific work. And isn't it interesting hearing Luke Longley, the man who's won 3 NBA titles, talking about a bit of energy in the building. When you played alongside Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, Ron Harper, I think, was the starter then. It would be impossible not to have energy in the building, you would think.
Wow.
And it's just quite extraordinary now that you've got him and Andrew Bogut, 2 guys who've won NBA titles. And in Luke's case, well, and maybe in Bogut's case as well, 2 guys, Australian guys, that we had starting centres on arguably the greatest teams in the history of the game.
And it's just great recognition of where the league's at, isn't it? That these guys want to invest. They want to be part of the ownership. As Suarez helps himself to another easy 2. He's up to 8 points.
It's a huge vote of confidence, you're rightly in the league, but from Luke's perspective, certainly in the Sydney Kings, and their ownership and management haven't been with the organisation for a couple of years, has a good sense of how it's being run and wants to be more involved.
Karen couldn't get that to go, and then a fast break transition. Galloway throws it down.
Beautiful pass. Galloway in stride, easy too for an athlete like him, and it's just getting to that danger stage now for the Adelaide 36ers, and as we've seen over many, many years, DJ comes up with a big 2.
Just needed that, just to even silence the crowd a little bit.
That's a charge. Not renowned for his defence, old DJ, but that time able to shuffle the puppies and get him in the right spot in front of Xavier Cooks.
You hit him right in the guts. What else are you going to do when you get hit in the guts?
I tend to agree. That is a charge in my book, Liam.
Yeah, he picked the spot. Took it right in the middle. Easy call.
Cooks thought he went down a little bit easy. Said he's a big grown man, but there was enough contact there. 3 minutes left in this first half. Kings have been in control pretty much from the outset. And if it wasn't for this man, Johnson, who knows what the margin would be. 16 points in the first half, and he's keeping them in it.
He is. Big performance thus far, and good action, good easy action. Pick and pop. McCarron finds DJ ready to fire.
Here's Walton, just putting a little shake and bake on Johnson. Another offensive board for the Kings. Cooks couldn't get that one to go. And all of a sudden, Johnson feeling good. He's a heat check. Now on transition, the Kings been able to make the 36ers pay. Adelaide do well this time. Keep possession.
A good effort in defensive transition. The Kings will burn you. Take an early shot like that, they grab the defensive board, they are off to the races. It's not Jalen Galloway get ahead of the pack a couple of possessions ago, but Adelaide there able to get back, get in front, stop the ball.
Daniel Johnson will come off for a well-earned break. 16 points, 3 boards.
We've got the Galloway brothers matching up on each other now. This is old sort of going back to the backyard type days.
Here's Vasiljevic. And maybe the slump's ended, Gazy. That's a couple now.
One thing you can absolutely guarantee, he's not going to be perturbed by the statistical numbers. He thinks every time he shoots it, it's got a very good chance of going in.
Franks kicks it out to Detch, wide open. Sort of struggling from beyond the arc, the 36ers, 2 of 14. There is Galloway for the Kings, going right at Soto. Could get it to fall in there, Franks. Looking to be aggressive. Goes with that left hand. High off the backboard, gets it to fall.
Good take. Timeout, Sydney. Robert Franks, he's tough finishing with that left hand. And you're right, Joey, they've been struggling from long range, Adelaide, despite getting really good looks. So he puts it on the deck and attacks the rim.
No, it is, and I like it. They look so good when they get into transition. Now, they haven't had a lot of opportunities to do that tonight because a lot of the times they're taking it out of the net. And it's harder to run off that. But I tell you what's not hard to run is this beautiful, beautiful MG, the electric variety.
I think you'd look great in a Gazy. I reckon it would suit you right down to the tee. Of course, with thanks to MG, we're giving away a brand new MG ZS EV electric car. 45,000, just under.
The cheapest electric vehicle on the market at this quality level.
NBL.com.au/winMG. That's all you got to do, Gazy.
Have you ever driven an electric one?
I haven't yet, but apparently they go.
Oh, the takeoff. It's not
You've been in an MG electric number.
I have not been in the MG electric number, but I have been in the other varieties of electric numbers. But when you're talking about value for money, it's MG all the way.
Oh. Sounds like Gazy wouldn't mind just getting one, Liam, I reckon there.
No,
he's making that known on a regular basis.
So just hanging around here, Adelaide, every time Sydney look like they might be able to blow it open, they found a way to score. Franks and Johnson in particular. It's been around about this 8-point margin most of the first half after that 7-zip start.
It has threatened to blow out a couple of times. But you're right, they're hanging tough, and that's what they did against Cairns before they eventually made their run.
Frank's going to sit off Cooks. Throws it into Hunter. Puts on a couple of moves, thought he might have got fouled, and then has a couple of goes at it. In the end, gets the 2 points. Soto and Detch with McCarron. There's a play for Soto, who should be able to finish from there. The block from Hunter. If you don't mind, he got up. And here they go, they'll make you pay on transition. DJ.
We'll give that to Hunter. Just the desperation there. It looked like Soto just getting a little momentum trying to go up with 2 hands and dunk it, and just gave enough time for Hunter to get there.
Karen almost with the turnover. Franks gave it up, wants it back. He wants to go at Cooks, and he'll get the foul.
It's going to be his second personal. Cooks picked up the offensive foul a few minutes ago. Want to go at him every opportunity. We talked about how big it was when he fouled out in the 4th quarter in Cairns. They were in control of that game, 3.5 minutes to go.
They couldn't score. When he left, they really struggled to find ways to score.
And you go back to that game, the win the Kings had in New Zealand a few weeks before when he went down with the ankle injury. They were well in control of that game.
Something of the order.
And almost burped it up. So they are a completely different team.
Really sort of getting that stuff all over themselves. But such as what Xavier Cooks brings to the table, he is a genuine game changer for him.
Which is why we talk so much about him in that MVP conversation. Now, the numbers are elite. We know that. And his versatile impact that he can have. But we've been able to see as well how different this team looks when he is compared to when he isn't on the floor.
Of course, missed the 1 game, a couple back. And since he's come back, he's been strong. Just the 4 points in this one so far, but he's been 2 of 6 from the free throw line as we get inside the final 30 seconds. Shot clock down to 10. Walton Jr.'s had an excellent first half. Good feed, finds Galloway, feet set.
Beautiful pass. Josh Giddy getting into the paint, just the one-handed hook pass to the guy in the corner, punish the helper.
And Franks get it back to 10 points. Fair to say they needed that, the 36ers. He'd been struggling from long range, and they just stay within touch because once again it looked like it could have blown out.
Fun way for Adelaide to finish it off. There you see Cooks and Hunter talking it over because it was a complete breakdown in communication as they left Franks open on the arc.
So they led by 7 points at quarter time, the Sydney Kings. They lead by 10 at half time. That man, Robert Franks, just started to get going. 11 points in that second term. They needed that. Of course, Daniel Johnson with 16 for the 36ers, and Walton Jr. and Vasiljevic are doing well for the Sydney Kings. We'll go down courtside. Joe Healy as one of the stars of the first half.
I certainly do. I've got Derek Walton with me. Derek, 12 points for yourself in that first half. DJ's starting to find his stroke as well. Can you describe how it feels out there?
Personally, just trying to be more aggressive. Understand the teams are going to, guard me a little harder, try to deny me and frustrate me. So just being aggressive, making sure I take my time, pick my spots, and it's always good to have one of your shooters hitting shots. So I think we got some good things rolling, but we still got, 20 minutes of basketball.
Daniel Johnson is certainly keeping the pressure on for them. How do you limit his impact in the second?
We just find some ways to schematically take him away from his strengths. I'm pretty sure we got it all figured out. We'll have some adjustments coming in the second half.
Good luck for it.
Thank you.
Jake Walton Jr. there, 12 points, 4 assists at half-time. Of course, the Sydney Kings lead by 10 points. And as we go to the break, I don't know about you two, but my DIY skills, they're hopeless. I cannot put anything together. It's no good. But we're going to go and take a look at one of our DIY weekenders, thanks to Bunnings.
Nice. Ready to help me?
Do you need my help?
I can't hold and drill at the same time.
Welcome to NBL Weekenders, a series where your favourite hoopers will jump off the court and onto the tools with help of the team at Bunnings.
All right, time to make something of the backyard for the little man. Maybe a cubby house, sandpit, one of these. I think he would like one of these. All right, I think Jack's gonna love this. What you doing, bud? You bringing everything up? Thanks, bud. Came together really well. Pretty sturdy, now we're gonna get to painting. All right, we're putting on the finishing touches now. Come up really good. We may have had a few little accidents and we spilled some paint over on this side, but we'll have to get something from Bunnings to clean that up with. But other than that, it's gone fairly smooth.
Welcome back. You're watching the Hungry Jacks NBL. It is halftime here at Kudos Bank Arena in Sydney with the Kings leading the Adelaide 36ers by 10 points. Joe Healy and Brad Rosen courtside. Brad, what did you make of that first 20?
Well, if the Kings shot their free throws a little bit better, they'd be out by more, and that's keeping Adelaide into this game. I didn't think Adelaide were terrible. They just seemed clunky on the offensive end. They did seem to make a bit of a run when Xavier Cooks came out, and we spoke about that in pre-game, how he's so huge for them. But the Sydney Kings, they did seem like momentum was going their way. I do expect them to go on with it, but they've got to start knocking their free throws down.
Well, you mentioned Xavier Cooks. We know he's a star on the court for the Kings. Now let's find out a little more about their power forward.
Xavier Cooks, that is enormous. Dunk of the year. My goodness.
Xavier Cooks on the basketball court and Xavier Cooks away from the game is two completely different people. I am a softie. She's 2 now, so I'm going in the playground phase, and I love going to these little indoor playgrounds and the little ball pits and the slippery slides, and it's been good just to see her grow as a little girl, and her character's coming out, her little sass coming out, and it's awesome. I'm the kind of guy that really stresses before games, and I was throwing up before games, just so nervous. And then when you have a little daughter at home, it kind of takes that pressure away that like, it's just a game of basketball, something I've been playing for so many years as a hobby, as a sport, something to have fun with. And now I have something that's way more important in life that takes the pressure away and helps me bring that joy to practice a bit more. Now I'm getting a little bit more attention in my basketball career, and just growing up I've never had attention. Just I went to a small school and all this kind of stuff, and then to be on the stage with Andrew Bogut saying you're the finals MVP, and someone like Andrew Bogut, who I've idolised my whole life, just one of the gods of Australian basketball, and someone on that stage with, what, we had 15,000 at the game, it was probably the highest basketball moment I've ever had. I think still trying to grow as a leader in this team is something I'm still trying to get used to. I've been around so many great leaders in boomers camps, and I set my bar too high. I'm not going to ever be a Matthew Dellavedova or those kind of guys, but there's definitely things I'm trying to work on. And then obviously on the court, just shooting the ball a lot better.
Cooks, need a bucket, go to the X-Men.
And just becoming a more of an all-round player.
Cooks for Hunter. It's just that good.
I'm such a competitor, I really want to prove that I can play with the best players in the world.
Cooks upstairs, returns to the scene of the crime and hammers down another one.
Always great to learn a little bit more about the superstars that we're watching out there on the court. Brad, these are the stats from that first half. What are you seeing there?
Well, I see low field goal percentage there from Adelaide, and that comes back to what we were saying previously, where they're quite clunky on the offensive end. And when they're clunky, they take rush shots, and that's what you see. But there's the 3 of 9 as well from the Sydney Kings from the free throw line.
We'll have a look at the Hungry Jacks halftime highlights now. Who stood out for you?
Well, of course, Derek Walton Jr. was great. This is what he came off. Beautiful pass there. Suarez makes with the move that he's got to do. But I really love what Geordie Hunter did coming off that bench. This man is just unbelievable. Cleveland, the way he can get around the court. But really, Derek came off 12 points and really felt like he's getting nicely into this game.
And you called it before the game. DJ is due for a big one, and he's certainly playing that way for now.
Yeah, he is, and he looks like he's really hungry for the ball, and I love the fact, and the commentary team mentioned this as well, they went to him. Xavier Cooks got the rebound one time, got the handoff, and DJ hit the ball, hit the 3 and knocked it down. That's where they've been great, and that's where Adelaide have really got that presence inside. Love what they can do. Let's hope DJ hits the 3.
Yes, most definitely. Still an exciting 20 minutes to come. Now, Brad, I've got to ask you, what's your half-court shot like? Because this season, thanks to Latrobe Financial, we're giving away $50,000. People are sending in all of their entries. They've been really cool so far. Do you reckon you've got it still?
I reckon I'd have more chance kicking it than some. There is not a chance I could make this, but you look at, there's some fantastic shots here. And I love the fact, celebration, look, there's bikes coming through there when people shoot it. So it's a fantastic thing, and I tell you what, 50 grand to shoot one from half court. Yep, I'll kick one.
Yeah, exactly right. Your kids would definitely be okay getting involved as well. Enter at nbl.com.au/legends. We'll be back with the second half after the break.
The Adelaide 36ers, they were slow to get going in this contest. It was a 7-zip lead early to Sydney, and the margin has hovered around that for the whole first half. The Kings led by 7 at quarter time. They lead by 10 at half time. And as we said, every time it looks like the Kings might kick away, Adelaide just find a way to stay within touch. Daniel Johnson and Robert Franks doing their bit for the Adelaide 36ers, but Liam Santamaria, Andrew Gaze, who else needs to step up for Adelaide this second half?
Well, I'm looking at Antonius Cleveland. This is the type of situation where he often imposes his will on ball games. He did that in that third quarter on Friday night at the defensive end, gets his hands on balls and sparks transition opportunities. And the other one is Mitch McCarron. We highlighted him off the top. 0 points, just the 2 assists, and hasn't really been able to have too big an impact.
Daisy, put your coach's hat on. What do you need to see from the 36ers?
I think Liam's nailed it. I would have said Mitch McCarron would be the first one. Really, he played 18.5 minutes in that first half, so most of the time he's on the floor, and he's the floor general. I think sometimes you just got to call your own number every now and again as well and get things going. And perhaps in transition, where we saw against Cairns Taipans, in transition, Adelaide 36ers were outstanding. Just haven't had a lot of those opportunities this afternoon.
Of course, the Kings 8-3, looking to cement their spot second on the ladder as Walton Jr. had a wide open look. They lost to Cairns last week. Of course, they did lead by 14 in the fourth quarter, as there is Cleveland. When he's aggressive, they look so much better, the 36ers. Don't count out Adelaide, because on Friday night against Cairns, they were down 19. It's the biggest comeback win so far this season. So they'll have plenty of self-belief that they can do it again. Walton Jr. You heard Bruton say how long in the paint for Suarez. Doesn't matter. Stripped by McCarron. And now Cleveland again looked to get into the paint, but he was stripped by Suarez. And a bit of frustration from McCarron. He gives away a...
Frustration by coaches at both ends of the floor then. CJ Bruton screaming out for the 3 seconds, and down the other end we heard Chase Buford a little concerned that he didn't hear a whistle on that last possession.
Coaches, however, happy, Liam? Have you ever had a happy coach?
Not too often.
I don't think it's in their nature.
Get 20 or 30 up, you generally find a pretty happy coach.
Some get more stressed.
It's been interesting. Listen to Modi Mayor in New Zealand, who's having a hell of a season coaching his squad. He's been asked a couple of times, he's been having fun. You having fun as a head coach and your team's up and about? He said, that's not a word I'd ever use.
Wrong word
about
for the
this
coach.
role.
Silovic had a crack at it. He's made a couple today, which has been good for him. He spoke about off the top, 0 from 16. His previous couple was Walton Jr. again, too easy. He's able to get to his spot on the elbow. He's up to 14.
What is it? His points in the paint so far in this one, 30 to the Sydney Kings, only the 18 to the Adelaide 36ers. And you saw it then, just able to get to his spot. There's someone that's got things going. Robert Franks, he was scoreless 0-2 in the first quarter, 11 in the second, and he starts the third with a very handy three-pointer.
Suarez, he's had a few cracks at it today. Third time lucky for the big fella.
He's dangerous from long range. He's a much better shooter, Tim Suarez, than what he's shown in the NBL so far, as Johnson responds, going bang for bang, these two teams from long range.
19 points for Daniel Johnson. He's had 28 points earlier in the season, but he's on track to maybe have a season high.
Tim Suarez hit that last 3 for the Kings, shooting 30%, Drury, from long range. Here's the foul. Cooks attacking Franks at every opportunity. Coming in, last year in Israel, Tim Suarez shot 54% from 3 on a really high volume of three-point attempts. 40% the previous year in Turkey. And he's a guy, I mean, at some stage he's going to have a game here where in the NBL where he's going to have 4 or 5 threes and blow a game open, but he just hasn't fully been able to find his rhythm.
Well, he's got a little bit of Daniel Kickett about it, the way with that size, the way he moves, and how he can position with those pick and pops. And I say this with the greatest respect for those leagues that he's played in. The depth and the attention and the defensive attention that he gets here is probably a little bit more than when you're playing some of those lower level teams in those leagues.
Xavier Cooks was able to get his first couple of points since the first term. Franks is now winning that matchup between the two stars of the league. There is Suarez again. The spin move, couldn't finish in the paint. Marshall does well to keep it in. 36 is looking to press here. Kept it within a margin of 7 points. Franks tried his luck. Cooks went up with the board and it falls to Cleveland, who's got 4 quick ones in this third quarter.
Just effort on the boards. I don't think it was a great shot by Franks. I know he's just made one, but he can get that shot at any time. When you're out there just dancing, little dribbling in the one spot and just waiting to pull the trigger, you can do that just as well in the last 8 seconds as you can in the first 8 seconds. And I think that it's much better when they go through sets of hands, and it's going to be a foul, I think, on McCarron. Again, putting pressure on the rim. The Sydney Kings.
Derek Walton Jr. will go to the free throw line for the first time today. Got the 14 points, 5 assists.
Well, they're second in the league. They average 22.5 free throw attempts per game, the Sydney Kings. And of all the teams in the competition, I think they find the balance between how they work on the perimeter and see it, get it through some hands, and then get downhill and put heat on the basket. I think they've got a really nice balance in the way they run their offensive sets and pick and choose their times to get it. It's no doubt that all teams are pretty relentless in trying to get to the rim and earn their way to the free throw line. But some do it a little better than others.
They're starting to make their free throws now, the Kings. 65% on the season. They've hit their last 4 as Franks again tries from long range.
But that's a better one.
Far better.
A much better one for him to take.
Walton Jr. draws the defence, finds the open man in Simon under the basket. He's up to his 6 assists. Top 5 in the league, Walton Jr. for assists. As Cleveland tried to set one up from McCarron, kicks it out to Franks. Good defence from the Kings. Again, just applying the pressure on the 36ers. They have to hang in here, Adelaide. Cooks, too easy. CJ Bruton's seen enough. He'll call a timeout, and it's back out to 13 points.
Good
Equal
timing.
game high.
Sorry, Joe. Good timeout from CJ Bruton. It is starting to get out of hand. Up to 13 points now, and geez, they had some really good looks, Adelaide. Last couple of possessions, Franks wide open on the arc, and then open down low and worried out of the finish.
Well, we talk about life as a coach. We spoke about it. CJ Bruton would be happy now. Why don't we take a bit of a look at some of the expressions of Chase Buford, who loves to entertain us on the sidelines.
Well, it's very emotional. There's a little...
What's that one called, Gazy?
Not sure, but...
Is that a baseball set play? What's that one?
Well,
he wants a foul, I'm thinking there.
I could say a few things about that one, but the different looks here, got a lot of love and intensity.
The emotions.
The passion is effervescent with Chase Buford on the sidelines, and he gets pretty hot under the collar. That's last week in far north Queensland. The humidity got the better of him.
He's great for the league, though, isn't he?
Just quietly, not the first Sydney Kings head coach who was quite good fun on.
No, I know.
So you know.
Absolutely. Hey, what about these two? Speaking about sitting in an MG, guys, I reckon the Reebok pumps, how good are these? You can purchase the Omni Pump 2 on the Reebok Australia website, but it finishes tonight, 8 p.m. tonight. So for your chance to win 2 tickets to any of the Hungry Jacks NBL semi-final games and $1,000, thanks to Reebok, you need to shop now. Get online, get the QR code, because that is a great prize. As Walton, who's that? Sorry, Simon throws it down. Thought for a minute there was Walton Jr., but Justin Simon.
Poor execution coming out of the timeout led to that turnover. And an easy transition basket. And Justin Simon just goes about his business. He's 3 or 4 from the field, doesn't really pressure anything, but he never looks anxious out there. He knows his role, and does his work on the defensive end, and it looks like Derek Walton might have just got one of the head, but crucial time right now, just before 3/4 time. There's a nice drop-off pass, and Simon with the explosive attack on the rim. up very high.
Plays his role beautifully. Got some athleticism.
As does Derek Walton Jr., who carried out that drop-off pass. He's out there balling right now. 16 points, 8 assists, closing in on a double-double and just tearing them apart.
Well, I was trying to get down to courtside, see what Brad Rosen's seeing from down there, Brad.
Well, Dewey mentioned this is an important time, and that's what Chase Buford said. We can go right here. Let's get it on the defensive end and let's run. And we saw they came straight out of that timeout and had a great dunk. Interesting couple of minutes. Xavier Cooks has just come off, and we do know that sometimes the Kings can get stagnant on offense. Big couple of coming up.
13 points. That's been that game-high margin a few times in this contest. They've always found a way to respond, Adelaide, but they're under pressure here as Walton Jr. Put on some fancy footwork, but good defense from Soto. Got the block, and Cleveland rejects it at the other end. That was Simon again, getting up, doing it at both ends of the floor. It's now Soto, goes with that right-hand skyhook, needed that.
Just used his size. He thought that through nicely. Went to the middle and just used it to rise up above Simon. As good as defender he is, when you got that size, you got a 7'2" guy coming at you. Might need a little bit of help.
It feels as though both teams are just lifting their intensity here, Liam. I think Adelaide know how important this period is, and as we just heard Brad say, Sydney know they can just put them to the sword if they can get a few more buckets. Soto will get the foul. DJ Bruton says thank you.
Really big minutes. Look at this block from Simon. How high is he? Oh my. Couple of athletes in transition, and Simon went to the top level.
He's had to hang there for a little bit too, didn't he? Got there early.
Yeah, no, that was well done. Beautiful timing.
An important last 4 minutes, you feel, of this third quarter.
Geez, it was a quick rest for Xavier Cooks. Back out there, guarding Daniel Johnson.
And Chase Buford knows the importance of these couple of minutes. You don't want to give the 36ers a sniff. They came back from 19 down against Cairns only a couple of nights ago, so they know they can do it. And McCarron works his way to the basket. He's yet to score. He'll get his chance now.
Got stuck in the end between the two big units on the floor for the Kings. Cooks and Suarez closing in. Just did enough to draw the contact and get to the strike.
Suarez with the 3 personals. It's been an issue for him all season long. McCarron gets 1 of 2, flattens the kids who wanted the cheeseburger. Back to 10. Suarez does come and have a rest late in this quarter. Oh! Over Soto, if you don't mind. Oh, he's already got the dunk of the year. He might have just topped it.
Got the top 2 now.
Oh.
Ferocious.
Well, there's a statement. Xavier Cooks. Now defending Johnson at the other end, a step back. Mr. Cool. It's the quick response.
Oh my, we need to get another look at what Xavier Cooks just did to Kai Soto and that rim.
Eviscerated him.
He cocked it back from a long way.
He does that. We saw that one on Isaac Humphries. He doesn't pick on the little fellas. He goes straight at the big boys. Caught that in the grill there. Kai Soto, just a hellacious dunk. Yes, sir. We see you, Xavier Cooks. That is special. Didn't have not a lot of runway either. No. Just a little shake and bake from the free throw line, 2 steps, and my glory-filled days. That is a beautiful, beautiful sight. The way you can just bring it back and throw it down.
Well, that's got you up out of your seat, Gazy.
Oh, love it. Very special. I'm sure Cookie's probably in his ear right now. He's saying, hey, how'd you like that, fella?
That is the second best. He does. Yeah. They're the 2 best dunks of the season.
No doubt.
Awfully similar. And his ability, like you say, Drew, to cock it back and still throw it down with authority. Over the outstretched hand of the shot blockers. Something very special.
Now Soto shows his range.
He said, hey, I might be on the poster, but that thing's only worth 2. This sucker's worth 3. Out here, knocks it down.
He's up to 7 points.
They needed it too.
Yeah, didn't score the other night. They're hanging in, aren't they?
They are. Just hanging tough. Keeping it in single digits now.
Here's Cooks again. This time, just takes the easy one.
Got to show some more resistance.
Foul him, put him on the free throw line. We've seen he's in all sorts of trouble. That time there, DJ almost just conceded. Now, DJ's only got the 1 foul. But on the almost a 3/4 time, he could even afford to have wasted one then.
And then a turnover. Oh, they get it back lucky. And Soto. Bruce professionally used all his experiences to give away the foul.
Very good foul. They were in trouble over the top, and they're not in the bonus, the Kings. So very, very well done. But the officials just have a quick look at it. No, simple call. As Buford doesn't think Soto should be going to the free throw line. I'm inclined to agree.
Might be baseline ball though.
Baseline. Yeah, here we go. Right. Gets his way.
So still an important 2 minutes here to finish this quarter. Adelaide haven't been able to peg it back. That's what you do. Go down low to your superstar.
Chase Buford wanting to delay a game. I think that was just a accidental. No intent there to knock the ball away.
Now let's see if Adelaide can get some stops. How do they close out this quarter? Keep it within single digits, cut into this margin a little.
Another turnover. This will favour the 36ers. Frank should be able to finish the play here. Well, they tried to go for the alley-oop with Soto and then missed from point-blank range.
Twice.
So he's let the Kings off the hook. And Cooks again might make him pay. He's going to go to the foul line.
Well, that's now one of the most terrifying sights in the NBL. Xavier Cooks getting downhill with an intention to get on the rim.
Putting all big men on notice.
We can do it so quickly and, like I said, without a lot of run-up. We'll need to get a bit of momentum, but he can explode off just 1 or 2 steps. But this is the only area of his game that is really causing him some problems.
He's 4 from 8 tonight. Make it 4 from 9. It's strike.
It's not a horrifically bad shooting technique either. It's to me, it's right there. Just a few things you might want to look at, but overall, it's not shockingly bad.
Shooting less than 50% for the season. He makes 1 of 2. That's 5 of 10 now from the stripe, up to 13 points. He's got his 5 rebounds, a couple assists. And a good matchup with Franks. He's trying to lift his team, although that's poor. So a couple of mistakes in 30 seconds for Robert Franks. He's gifting the Sydney Kings this lead.
It's been a bad couple of possessions. Xavier cooked up that 3-on-1 opportunity, trying to lob it over the top, and then the turnover there. A chance to finish the quarter strong, going begging for Adelaide.
Cooks will hand it off to Bruce, who wanted the foul. Refs will let them play. Bruce. First points for him this afternoon. Came at a big moment. Didn't score the other night either against Cairns in 25 minutes. Sean Bruce, had been a while between drinks, but that was an important one. Just continue to keep that buffer as Marshall tried to create. You heard Chase Buford want 1 shot, but Vasiljevic doesn't like that when he catches with his feet set. He said, sorry, coach.
Oh, I reckon that was a no. Yes.
And all of a sudden, Adelaide, they were within 8. They had the chance to get within 5 or 6, and now it's back to 15, a game-high 15-point lead. Right on the stroke of 3/4 time. Can Marshall peg it back? He can't. And for all their hard work, the Sydney Kings won the 3rd quarter. And they gave up a 14-point lead the other night. We know that Adelaide pegged back a 19-point margin, but Adelaide have got their work cut out. The Sydney Kings, they're in control here. 3/4 time, they're up by 15 points. great way to spend your Sunday afternoon. Bring the family to the basketball. The kids all love it, and they're enjoying what they're seeing in this game because the Sydney Kings lead by 15 points. Vasilovic has found his range from three-point land. Derek Walton Jr. is doing his thing. Suarez having a good game, and Xavier Cooks has potentially thrown down the dunk of the year, topping his own dunk against Melbourne United earlier in the season as Galloway continues on. And maybe now it's going to be really tough for the Adelaide 36ers. 17 points, Liam Santamaria. Andrew Gaze, what'd you make of that third quarter?
Well, it was one where you just felt like Adelaide were making some inroads. They could have cut it to 6, but just blew out near the end. In fact, it was one where a lot of self-inflicted wounds for my liking with the Adelaide 36ers. A few missed opportunities. They just haven't been able to score. They won that game on Friday, shooting in the high 30s, and even in this one here, they're 42%, only 28% from the three-point line. So they've had some decent looks. TJ just hands the ball.
But I don't need any of the carry-on.
You can take
You can take it, and we'll just get on with it. But you're right, Drewy. Geez, they were so close, Adelaide, at the end of that third term. Had that opportunity to cut it to 6, a minute or so to play, and then all of a sudden they go in at three-quarter time, down 15.
Franks with another turnover. So just all starting to fall apart here for Adelaide.
It is, and then on the flip side of that, you look at the other end of the floor, and the Sydney Kings had an incredible 57% from the field, 42% from the three-point line, and I think a lot of that, certainly a significant portion of it, is just that the defensive breakdowns we've seen from the Adelaide 36ers from time to time, creating some easier scoring opportunities or wide open shots like that.
Here's Cleveland. Just 9 points for him today after the season high 23 against Cairns. Wants to be aggressive. Sydney have bodies in the paint. They'll keep the ball, Adelaide. That'll be Sydney ball.
The Uli, right? I thought that was going to be a Adelaide 36er ball.
The Kings look like they're getting back to some of that form at the start of the season. They won their first 5 games by an average of 15 points. There's the feed.
Really good look from Xavier Cooks. Defense napping for Adelaide, and Sydney take advantage.
Well, zero ball pressure on Xavier Cooks, just waiting for something to happen and not being proactive on the defensive end that time allows Cooks just to pick him off.
McCarron slowly backed his way into the paint. We'll go to the free throw line. Have you seen the Cooks v Franks battle? Because it looked like early Cooks had the honours, and then through the sort of middle part of the game, Robert Franks got going, but it's been a pretty even battle there.
Yeah, by the numbers, suggest that. Franks, he's got 16 points, 5, he's got 4 boards, a couple of assists. Cooks, pretty similar, 13 and 6. He's got the 4 turnovers and 3 assists, but Xavier Cooks, for me, he's just had that bigger impact on the floor, especially at the defensive end. Not just guarding Cooks, but as a help man coming across, getting deflections, and just a presence at that defensive end. And look at the difference in the margin between the teams, and it speaks to some of that impact.
There's Vasilovic again. 3 of 6 now for him today. Hands it off to Cooks. Just couldn't get that one to roll. So we're 19 points down, Adelaide, as we said, against Cairns, but it's a different kettle of fish this afternoon. Johnson started the game hot, still at 21 points. Cleveland got himself into trouble. Again, there's the help from Xavier Cooks. Step back now, Cleveland. They needed that. 12 and 6 for him. They need a few more. Time starts to become the enemy now. Just over 7 minutes left in this one. Of course, the first of our doubleheader. Brisbane Bullets and Tassie. Speaking of 2 teams that would love a win, that's coming up straight after this one. As Cooks again just tries that little floater from the free throw line. Too easy, Gazy.
No, it is. And well, he made a pretty tough shot look easy. Those little floaters can be tricky, but just really nice touch by Cooks. But just getting to their preferred positions really easy. And the freedom of movement they have, you see when they're cutting action, they're just able to get to their spots way too easily.
We said Sydney won their first 5 games by an average of 15 points. They're blowing the competition to pieces. And then their last 3 wins only by an average of 2.5 points. So it's been a bit tougher going, a couple of those buzzer beaters. But they've found a bit more of this form from the start of the season. Comfortably holding Adelaide here. It's always been a relatively comfortable margin. McCarron imploring Franks to come and get the ball. Finds Marshall.
Frustration foul there for Robert Franks. It was a real stagnant offensive possession. They didn't really know what they were going to at any time. Adelaide, and time very much their enemy right now.
Of course, we know it doesn't get much easier in this NBL competition. Next week they'll host the Perth Wildcats on Friday, the Adelaide 36ers, and Perth found some form beating New Zealand. And then they go and play the Southeast Phoenix on the Sunday. So it's important for Adelaide to continue to get the wins after their sort of slow start. They've won 3 of their last 4. Nice cut from Glover. It was a good look from Walton Jr. What about that? Eyes in the back of his head.
That's the ball movement, the movement off the ball. Just weren't standing around and waiting to catch on the 3-point line. This defense turns the head. Glover reads that, splits between them, and beautiful find. And that's all it can take, is when you're on that weak side and you're trying to pick up a backdoor cut. It's a lot of the times you're just reading the eyes of your defender, and as soon as they turn their head or they lose vision, you sneak behind them. It's tough to recover.
You can have a coach's challenge here. So CJ Bruton not convinced that it was a foul. Potentially on Mitch McCarron, so I'll check it out.
I reckon he probably needed a timeout anyway, so maybe he's thinking at this stage it's getting pretty desperate. And Mitch McCarron did not touch him at all by the look of that angle. Sometimes it can be a little deceiving.
We're not saying we might have a coach's challenge that's successful. We haven't had too many, have we?
Well, it's just that left arm. Did he come down and hit Glover on the shoulder? Which it does not, from that angle, it does not look like there's any contact.
That ankle looks like just hit the ball, flipped the ball.
Yeah.
Oh, did he hit the shoulder on the way down?
Well, from the other angle, it doesn't look like it. Either way, it had almost no impact on the shot. In fact, the ball, when he actually hit the ball, was the one that might have caused Glover some issues, but he plays straight through it.
That one's not definitive, because...
Well, it is from the other angle,
but
though,
the other one, I think it is.
Here.
I think here, a little piece of the ball.
Goes straight by him.
Nothing else. And I think he's a chance to win that challenge.
You're saying it's going to be successful?
If this is not overturned, I don't know what they're looking at. Because you could see the gap between the shoulder.
Let's take a listen. Let's see, Gazy.
Coach's challenge is successful. The call is overturned. The basket counts for Sydney. Adelaide have the ball on the baseline.
There you go. Well done. Easy.
They get an extra timeout. Well, they don't lose their timeout.
Keep their challenge.
Keeps the challenge.
Chase Buford knows now Adelaide have got to go. Got to get moving.
They do. They need quick baskets.
Exporting some of the bench into the game now. CJ Bruton, Sunday Detch will come in. Kai Soto.
Well, there's the difference too. You saw in the last couple of possessions, Adelaide are basically meeting the defence at the 3-point line and really allowing the offence to come up, set up and get into something. Right there, they're meeting him at the centre line and just not meeting him, putting pressure on and threatening a double team and making it a lot tougher for the Adelaide 36ers on the offensive end.
Soto again, helping himself to 9 points. It's been important today to look at the turnovers. Just the 8 turnovers for the Sydney Kings. They had 21 in that loss to Cairns last week, so I'm sure something they spoke about.
Yeah, they've looked after it a bit better. Cairns, that team puts a lot of pressure on you. Really disruptive as Walton Jr. brings up his 10th assist to the game. A double-double for Walton Jr. as Suarez finishes that play. His first double-double of the season. 3 games with 8 dimes. And tonight, he has been putting it on a platter.
Season high 10 times here, might make it 11. He might just throw this one up for Simon. Detch was onto it. Could have been another highlight, and then Harris just took his eye off the ball. Almost sums up the day for the Adelaide 36ers.
Well, that's just where your mind's gotten ahead of you and you're not executing the actual play. He was trying, he saw his teammate open, but he was passing it about 3 seconds before he actually caught it. And stumbled a little bit, got off balance, and a simple play becomes really hard and ends in a turnover.
Here's Vasiljevic, tries to hand it off to Suarez. It's one off the season high. He's got the 13 points. Vasiljevic got the 15. 3 of 6 from beyond the arc today.
We needed that. He needed to see a few go through. 0 of 8 in his last couple of games. He missed 17 straight three-pointers before he connected on his first one. It was actually his second attempt this afternoon. Chikai Soto hasn't come in all that bashful. When he gets it, he's looking at... He's a shoot-first 5-man.
There's Galloway. He thought about throwing it down, just didn't quite have the elevation. I'll give it back to Soto. I'll go to the free throw line. Now we're going to go down to Jo Healy, who's got a special guest with her courtside.
I certainly do. It's always good to see who comes out to the NBL on the weekends. I'm pleased to say I've got the host of Bachelor Australia, Osher Gunsberg, with me. Osher, you're here with the family. How are you enjoying the game and the atmosphere?
So great. This is the earliest game of the season because we're still in kind of early nap time, so to bring Wolfie along to his first basketball game is just the best.
Sydney Kings fans, I take it?
I grew up in Brisbane, so I was Bullets for a long time, but Audrey's from Sydney, and to be a part of the Kings vibe is just fantastic. It's great to be here.
You've become very familiar with one of our own at the NBL, our very own Felix von Hoff, who's one of the 3 bachelors in the new series. What's filming been like? Because I imagine he's been as cheeky as always.
He's an extraordinary human being and has some fantastic tales to tell about his college days, let me tell you. Yeah, it's a man, like unbelievable, March Madness stories from him, because I've always wanted to talk to someone who's been through that, and it's incredible. He thinks so incredibly well. He's such a nice guy. But yeah, cheeky. He does all right. They do all right. They're lovely guys.
I know he looks the part. Some of the boys in commentary have told me that they never thought that he'd find someone to be able to put up with him, though. Can you give us a bit of dirt? Is he going to find the love of his life in this series?
I can tell you that the next season of The Bachelor is like something you've never seen before. And the biggest challenge, certainly for someone like... I found it with Felix, I had to talk to him in sports anecdotes all the time. Because, you know, ultimately, like, he's gorgeous, he's successful, but he's still single for a reason. All right? So, search inside yourself. You had to look for the reason. You got to look for the reason. And, you know, is he brave enough to do it? We'll find out.
I imagine he doesn't stop talking on set either.
He's a passionate man who goes about life passionately. And you know what's wild is in the driveway of the Bachelor Mansion on the Gold Coast, there was a hoop. There was a basketball hoop, and he's just like in a full suit. I'll just see if I still got it, and then he's just like still got it. Like before the show every day, he would do it.
He tried that on the NBL court in Melbourne a couple of weeks ago as well. It didn't go so well. Now, when you come to games like this, you see the athletes out here. Are you doing a little bit of scouting for the next series as well?
No, I'm scouting for when I own my own basketball franchise. And look, honestly, Sean Bruce is an assassin, and he's got my first pick.
He certainly is. Okay, good to know. You heard it here first. Osh, thank you so much for your time and good luck for the series.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you, Joe. Thanks, Osher. There's some life advice, Skazy. Find it within yourself. Well, that was going on. Suarez continued to score. We spoke about his range earlier. He's got a season-high 18 points, Tim Suarez, so he's had himself a handy game.
Well, he's been good. 2 of those knockdowns from long range, but done a lot of work around the rim as well. Adelaide have had a bit of trouble defending in that painted area.
And swatted that one away. Tried to lob for Harris, and this game's just turned into a bit of pick-up ball at the moment. Simon misses a layup. Galloway thought about it. And now they'll try and run a little bit of offense. Glover bounces out. Didn't get the
You know,
home court roll.
The Adelaide 36ers, they got away with one on Friday. They got out of jail at home, and they didn't play great at all. They won, but they didn't play well, and they have not looked good here this afternoon either. So there's been a lot of talk about their roster and potential changes, and let's not forget Drimmick. He was an important part over the last couple of weeks, and not having him is a significant out. But when you look at this and it's trying to be objective with it, I think that they might have to up the tempo with their search for another player. If they have aspirations of winning the whole thing, they can still be a really, really good team. But I think they need someone else if they're going to contend for a title.
No, I agree with you. And CJ agrees with you. He said that last night. I mentioned, he said, you know, we're not close right now. But he also said we're going to need a third import if we're going to contest for this championship. And, yeah, I mean, that's become blatantly obvious over the course of this weekend. You're right, and especially in this one.
So just a slight reality check for the 36ers. You think they'd won 3 or 4. There was a lot of talk about the momentum. Some people thought they were going to get on a roll.
Yeah.
But just a little reality check that maybe they, as you said, they are a bit away from the top teams.
That's right. And to Liam's defence, it does hurt when you don't have a guy like Drimmick who would become a important part of it. A couple of weeks ago against Melbourne United, when it got a little started, what did he play? 37, 38 minutes in that game. So he was an integral part of what they're doing. He brings a lot of energy at both ends of the floor. But, yeah, it hasn't been a great weekend for him. But having said that, they still split this weekend. It hasn't been a disaster for them. So they've been able to dodge a bullet. And they need to regroup and try and get back on playing some better basketball.
Just saw Cal Bruton there wearing one of those Indigenous jerseys, because Indigenous round will kick off next week. Look at those jerseys. They are brilliant. And make sure you get the NBL store, check it out. Great concept. It'll run over a couple of weeks. Supporting Indigenous round, the NBL, doing wonderful things. As Marshall just gets a nice little fadeaway there.
One thing to remember here, guys, I don't know, it really feels like an opportunity missed here for Adelaide. Had all that momentum late in that third quarter. Yeah, this is a blowout. Yeah, they've got some garbage time here and some guys getting some runs. It's almost a 20-point margin. It was so close to being a 6-point game at that point, with Adelaide having momentum as Bawali Bales sticks that one from mid-range.
Well, he's another one that was in the rotation early on in the season. He's maybe had a few injuries along the way, fallen out of favour a little bit as well. So these minutes, they are junk minutes, but for some of those players that are trying to earn time, you want to make sure that you make the most of whatever limited opportunities you have. And Bales with a potential and one is impressed in his minute or so. Knocks down a 3-ball, comes in, a little Euro step. And what about this? Beautiful. The saliva in my mouth is just building up now, thinking of the Whopper.
Yeah, that's right. That's right, Gaze with Hungry Jack's NBL. Whopper your way to LA. All you got to do is grab any large burger meal at Hungry Jack's and enter your receipt code to win 4 tickets, flights, spending money and accommodation to a basketball game in the USA. That'll be nice as Bales finishes the 3-point play, making the most of his couple of minutes on the floor.
A couple of guys getting some run. Don't usually get some action. Here comes Fiston Aposu. Depth player for the 36ers.
Kings won't have too much time to enjoy this one. Boys, they've got to go to play New Zealand on Thursday night in New Zealand, so that will be an absolute cracker. We will find out who the best team in the competition is Thursday night. Take a look at the Amy replay. Nice little Euro step.
Beautiful finish from Bawali Bales.
Who would you take right now, Gazy? Thursday night, New Zealand, Sydney, in New Zealand.
No, I'm still with New Zealand on their home deck. And I know that Sydney went over there and got away with a win a couple of weeks ago, I think it was.
Cooks got hurt.
They did, and they did their best to give this the opportunity for the New Zealand Breakers. But no, I think New Zealand, to me, at both ends of the floor, they right now are the team to beat. And I know that's coming off a little setback they had yesterday for them, but a great win by the Wildcats. Wasn't that a good turnaround for them going on the road? picking up a huge win.
Sydney will go to 9-3 with this win, so they will consolidate second spot. And there'll be a bit of a gap between Sydney and New Zealand, which we know is important because you get straight through to the semi-finals. Top two.
Massive.
We speak about top six, but top two is crucial. And they're just putting a bit of a gap on the competition. The Sydney Kings.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. A couple of teams there, Cairns, Southeast Melbourne, these teams hoping Sydney and New Zealand might just stumble at some point, but not today.
They flexed their muscles, the Sydney Kings, on their home floor. Adelaide came full of confidence and go home with their tail between their legs because the Sydney Kings got the job done in the end pretty comprehensively. Adelaide just couldn't quite ever peg the margin back to be close enough. Sydney kept them at arm's length. And then the fourth quarter, they put them to the sword. Nice even spread of scorers. DJ found some form. Xavier Cooks did his thing. Derek Walton Jr. doing it. 16 points, 11 assists. And Tim Suarez with a season-high 18. Again, we spoke about just a well-balanced, even team performance.
Absolutely, and also strategically, the way they were able to get it. Points in the paint, 52-26, so the Sydney Kings doubled the Adelaide 36 the way in which they could get to the rim, and really nice balance of the way Sydney played, and the 36ers just lacked a little bit of spark and a bit of organisation, and just wasn't quite there as the big fella, as he takes ownership, or some ownership, of the Sydney Kings. We're happy to see his boys get the job done.
Well, they'll go to New Zealand Thursday, as we said, and then they'll come home and play the Tassie Jack Jumpers, who are on straight after this. They're playing the Brisbane Bullets. But Sydney go to 9-3, cement themselves in second spot. Really strong performance. And we're going to go straight down to Joe Healy, who I think has the Foot Locker player of the game with her.
Well, it is Foot Locker player of the game, but it's Brad, but that's okay. Derek, congratulations. Great win. You needed that one.
Yeah, came off a tough one. And trying to find our rhythm again. It's starting to get down towards the games that mean the most. So we're trying to find our rhythm, do what makes, most successful. And then it's always good to get a win.
A double-double for you today. You look really comfortable out there, scoring an assist. Looked like it was flowing.
Yeah, last couple of games just trying to adjust to being guarded a different way. So it's like just went back and tried to, find some ways to still be effective, be aggressive, and find guys and do what I do best, make shots.
You had 17 wins on the road, lost last time to Cairns, but now you're going down and playing what a lot of people are saying could be the championship against New Zealand. That'll be a good win.
Well, luckily, people's opinions don't win championships. We've still got to go play. And then overall, I think guys are excited and ready to go out and, continue to, build on this performance tonight.
Being new to the league, how have you found it? You've played a lot of, places all over the world. You enjoyed this one?
Yeah, different feel for me, of course, but just trying to find my legs, of course, and then about 12 games in, starting to find my groove and just finding out how games are played and how it's officiated, and just trying to be as effective as possible.
And to take Sydney Kings to the next level, where do you think they got to go?
I just think playing 40 minutes of basketball. I think we didn't play 35 minutes, maybe 25 minutes, and tonight was the first time we put 40 minutes together. Held the team to under 80 points, so that's always good.
Fantastic. Great win today, and well done.
Appreciate you.
Thank you, Brad Rosen. Derek Walton Jr. not giving too much away there, Liam, just keeping it pretty cool. He knows there's still a long way to go, but gee, he was awesome tonight.
He was really good. 16 points, at over 50% from the field, and the 11 dimes was huge for the Kings as they piled on the points. They had over 20 in every quarter, and Walton Jr., he really led the way. Antonius Cleveland was his direct matchup. First quarter off those ball screens, he got to his spots, got to that mid-range, and was able to knock it in, and that helped him get his eye in. And then, of course, once they started getting stops and he started getting out in transition, he was finding his teammates left, right, and centre. So just the head of the snake for this squad today as they piled on the points and took care of business against the 36ers.
He's so tough to guard, isn't he, Gagey? Because if you get right up in his face, he can blow by you, he can nail the three, and if you bring some bodies, he'll find the open man.
Well, that's right, and to me, he never looks anxious when he's out there. There are games when, if things are going well, he's prepared to distribute it and play that playmaker role more significantly than other times when he needs to step up and create some offense, and he shared it around. You look at, Suarez today with the 18 points, and Cooks with the 15. He was able to get guys going. And DJ, his backcourt running mate, was finally, he broke out of a bit of a shooting slump, 6 of 10 from the field, and a lot of that was because Walton was able to find and get things going.
As Walton Jr. said, almost their best performance, a full 40 minutes tonight, 19-point win against the Adelaide 36ers. Stick with us, Joe Healy, Brad Rose will be back to wrap it up straight after this.
Welcome back to the Hungry Jacks NBL here in Sydney. It is the Kings with a big win over the Adelaide 36ers. Plenty happening in the house. Joe Healy, Brad Rosen, and we are joined by Xavier Cooks, one of the stars of Kingside. Xav, you said that you guys really wanted to bounce back after that loss against the Taipans. How do you feel?
I feel great. That was a great win for us. Probably one of our better defensive efforts for 40 minutes out there, so it was good for us. We needed that.
Xav, dunking. Now, you are taking this to another level. You just saw the dunk that you just did, and you had a little jump. Now, last one, when you were in Melbourne, you're like, I got him good. What's this one like?
You never really know when you're in the moment until you see the replay, and Casado's a big boy and a great shot blocker, so I'm pretty happy with myself again.
I think we do have the replay for you, though, as well. Where do they rate? Which one do you feel is better?
Isaac's was better because it was a body-to-body contact, and this one I kind of slipped past him, but they're both some nasty dunks, I'll tell you that much.
Dave, let's talk about now the Kings. Obviously, you guys are rolling nicely. You lost one on the road for the first one for a while, but you go to New Zealand. That's a big game because it's someone you could meet down the stretch.
Huge game, huge game. Them boys are rolling, they're really confident, and I love the way them boys play. They play hard, they play together, and I'm excited for that battle. We got the upper hand last game, so I'm excited for the battle.
One more before we let you go and enjoy the win. You had a really good contribution offensively from a lot of the guys tonight, especially the likes of DJ. How important is it, how good is it, and for your confidence, having that kind of impact from everyone?
Oh, huge. Our team's our best when everyone's firing away, and DJ, Timmy, down the line, everyone played great minutes tonight, and that's when we're at our best, when we can take the load off the bigger players and give it to everybody around us. Makes the job easier a lot easier for us.
Well, congratulations on the win. Go and celebrate with the boys.
I shall. Thank you, guys.
Now, Brad, we've got to keep this going here. What about from an Adelaide 36ers point of view? They've talked about the fact that they don't really have, they don't feel rushed to get that next import in. Does a result like this perhaps make them question that?
Well, it always will, and that would be emotional. They got a good win on the other night, and then you can't just say, right, we lost that game. They looked a little bit tired tonight. I don't know, if that's something that they need to look at, and they just didn't look like they were in sick. If I'm CJ Bruton, I'm saying to that game, look, did we play well? No. What was wrong? We didn't do well defensively and we didn't play to our game plan. An import can come in and make a difference, but he can also hinder it. And we look at what happened with Craig Randall. This team got better without him. So it's a decision you don't want to rush.
You mentioned it there, only 48 hours between their last game and this one, so you can understand maybe some tired legs. Who would you have liked to have seen more from tonight, though?
Yeah, Franks. I thought Franks really, he didn't have a great game the other night, even though, Franks is one of those players, when he plays well, they don't lose. They can win without him, but they don't lose when he plays really well. Tonight, he just wasn't at his level, and you saw a couple of times in the block there, he'd throw it away, and little things like that I just thought that's where they really need, especially when you got 2 imports and they're giving him the keys to the engine and saying, go for it.
Well, disappointing for Adelaide. A great win for the Kings. We'll throw you back up to our commentators, Joey, Drury and Tiz, boys.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Brad. Well done for your work today down courtside. Gazy, Liam. What about that dunk? He was pretty happy with it, wasn't he? Xavier Cooks, he liked his own work. A man who laid some big slam dunks in his time, Andrew Gaze. Which one did you like better?
I was more a
fast break,
a quality than a quantity type throwdown. But I think they're both really good. To me, that one's better because you had the little crossover. The other one over here, yeah, it was over Isaac Humphries, but this one, just the crossover and not a lot of speed, and he's got a good shot blocker going up against him. And yeah, that one was just with.
You like today's better?
I think I do because he's caught that in rhythm, and now that's pretty nasty. Actually, I might have to just
really nasty.
Reassess where I'm at with that, but they're both very, very good dunks.
I got the Humphries one on top still, but they're no doubt they're 1 and 2 over the course of the season.
Yeah.
And his ability to cock it back with full extension and throw it down with authority is spectacular.
No doubt he's got 1 and 2. It's going to take a good dunk to beat that. It was the Sydney Kings. They won this one. 19 points over Adelaide. Stick with us, though. Another big game to come up next. The Brisbane Bullets taking on the Tassie Jack Jumpers.
This program is brought to you by Hungry Jack's and Bunnings Warehouse.